So this is going to be Ultidor, one of my awesome subscribers, and he is in the Tier 7 Helena, which is an American light cruiser. Helena is a very fun boat. She's got 5 triple turrets. That's a lot of guns. They're 152 millimeter, so they're 6-inch guns, and she's best known as an HE slinger, although she can dish out the hate with AP as well on nearby targets that are broadside, essentially. But the big thing about her is HE.
Too?
She did get buffed recently. If I recall, the second turret is a 360, and there might be something else in relation to that as well. I think maybe her firing arcs were somewhat slightly improved. But either way, even before the buffs, she's still a pretty good ship. Yes, Grunty?
Nope, I didn't want to say anything.
Okay.
I was just sneezing.
Okay. Now, Ultidor has mentioned that he is grinding the ship through PC. He already played it on console on Warships Legends, so he's familiar with the ship, but obviously, as many of you all recall, when you first started grinding, even this guy here, at a certain point, the grind slows down because you run out of credits, you run out of port slots. There's all kinds of different things that slow you down. So what I like about this already is we're looking at somebody who's grinding it through the first time on a relatively new account. So keep that in mind as we go through the build. As you can see, Ultidor does not have the B hull researched or the range upgrade. Now, Ultidor, if you are listening, you absolutely want to get the B hull done as soon as possible. And that's for any tech tree ship. It's almost even worth using free XP for if you want to get to that next level quicker. And the reason for that is twofold, usually threefold actually. One is your maneuverability will improve. So if you look at your rudder shift time, 9.15 versus 12.81 seconds. So your rudder improves. The ship becomes more nimble. That helps you tremendously on the battlefield. Okay. In addition, your survivability improves. So you go from 28,700 to 33,300 hit points. That's a sizable boost. And that's before flags and commander upgrade and all that kind of stuff. And then finally, a lot of times, this isn't the case for all ships, but for the most part, your anti-air improves as well. Now, in this case, your anti-air kind of goes down. It goes from 88 to 77, but you gain a medium range aura when you do this upgrade, and that's huge. That really helps shoot down planes.
Getting more bow force.
Yes.
Probably. I don't know.
It depends on the model. You'd have to look at it and see if they actually add the buffers or not onto it. But those are the 3 benefits from upgrading a hull, and which is why we almost always recommend a hull upgrade before guns, torpedoes, engines, or even especially the range. The range is usually the last upgrade you go for, and some people don't even go for it because it saves some XP so they can finish the line sooner. It's really up to you for that.
I don't know if it's the case anymore, but there used to be even some hulls that got more torpedoes or even more guns on a B hull than on the A hull.
Yeah, Clemson is a good example of that.
Boy back in time, for example, she got twins launchers instead of triples.
Right. And sometimes the torpedoes that they come with are better too. Yeah, Wargaming has tried to simplify things a bit, so there could be some nuances, but for the most part, go for the hull. You got a sub 100k credits at this point, so you couldn't buy it if you free XP'd it. So then there's no reason to free XP it. For modules, you've got main armaments mod 1, engine room protection, aiming systems. You haven't picked a 4th slot. Now, the 4th slot is huge for you. The 4th slot is your steering gears or propulsion is usually what you're going to go for in a light cruiser. Now, if you go for you're going to get the hull eventually anyways, you'll see your rudder shift time is under 9 seconds. Pretty darn good. Usually you want under 10 seconds in a cruiser. So I would recommend propulsion upgrade for you, unless, hey, Pack and NW Gaming, how are you? So unless you are the kind of person that hits W 4 times and never changes throttle, in that case, propulsion is pretty much wasted on you, and you might be better off with steering gears. But yeah, I'd go for one of those two. Leaving it blank is okay, but you are kind of hurting your capabilities, especially if you like to camp behind islands. The propulsion module is so helpful. If you like to sit behind islands and arc shells over, when you get spotted and you need to like accelerate fast to get out of dodge, to get away from broadside, you know, showing broadside to battleships, propulsion is just so helpful.
I would make the argument here with the cost of the modules. Like the first 3 cost about as much as the 4th one.
Yep.
So unless you already had the first modules, I think it would have been beneficial to just take the 4-slot mod and leave the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd empty.
And then pick them up as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay.
Like typically you want to fill up the upgrade slots from the right to the left because they are more impactful. Obviously more expensive too, but
that makes sense. That's a good point. Yeah. And you said you already picked up propulsion 3 games later. Perfect. Okay. Let's move on to your captain skills then. So you've gone with Last Stand, Demo Expert, Adrenaline Rush, and Concealment. I don't like this. The only one that I like is your first slots. Last Stand for a Helena comes in very handy. You take a broadside salvo, there go your engines. You need to still be able to maneuver. Ridership, if you like to kite away and stuff, a lot of times you're going to lose your rudder and stuff. That 1 slot being skipped means you lose guns way too often on light turrets. That's true, Jill. That's true. That's true. So Last Stand, I think, is a good call. Now, you're probably looking at this as I'm going to shoot HE all the time. And Demo Expert is nice for that. But personally, I'd go Priority Target so that I can make sure that I know how many people are targeting me. You said you like to play in islands and throttle jockey and stuff like that. Priority Target just tells you, can I focus on this one person that I know is shooting at me to dodge and stuff? Or do I have to look at the big picture? Do I need to, you know, run away, disengage from the battlefield, find somebody else to hide behind? You know, that kind of stuff. Priority Target gives you a lot of information, and I'd value that much higher than just 1% fire chance. Because you get those in
Demo
flags.
Expert is such a bait skill. Maybe that's because I'm old and I remember that this skill gave up to 5% fire chance for like was it even a single point or something? But like 2 points for 1% fire chance is basically never worth it. This is a skill you take if you have in the end exactly 2 points over and nothing else to take.
Right.
It should never be taken any sooner than that.
The only benefit for Demo Expert is really, in my opinion, the explosion radius for subs. That's really the only benefit there. The HE, you might notice it, but you probably won't. So I think Priority Target is a far better choice to start with. And Altidore, I wouldn't spend the doubloons to fix it necessarily, okay? But when you get to Cleveland, this applies, in my opinion, even more so, okay? Priority Target. Alternately with Cleveland, because it gets a radar, you could do consumable enhancements, but funny I mentioned that comes up in game. Okay. Usually the consumable perk, yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to. If you've got radar, consumable enhancements is a little sexier, but for a ship that only has the hydroacoustic search, it's not that not that helpful. In the third point here, Adrenaline Rush is a fine skill. It's a good skill to have. Almost everybody gets it, but I wouldn't get it first. Okay, what I would get first instead is I would get Survivability Expert. Your ship doesn't come with a heal, so there's no need for Superintendent, but I would absolutely go Survivability Expert first, and then finish with Concealment like you've done, and then I'd start looking into other skills. So, I mean, you agree, right, Grunty? Like, Survivability first?
I'm not sure. Like, I don't play Helena. Like, I don't have it.
I will say, if you played a...
She doesn't have much hit points, so I can definitely see Visibility Expert. The problem I have is, like, I assume he's going up the line. How quickly is he going up to line? Like, if we're looking up, he takes the commander with him to the booster. Will he have enough points to have the Superintendent and the Adrenaline Rush ready if he takes Survivability first? And I don't know if if that's possible. Because I think on the booster you can get away with not having Survivability Expert early on. I'd much rather have the Adrenaline Rush and Superintendent there.
I guess so, but the other thing to think about is Survivability Expert helps them get to Wooster easier, essentially.
It does. It does.
The big thing, too, is he hasn't gotten the B-hull yet, right? So, I mean, kind of feel like that extra hit points with the A-hull especially is far more valuable. But either way, you kind of hit on something. If you're going to move this captain up, then superintendent will be in your future. If you're going to leave him on the, you know, the 7, the Helena, hey Toshka, then it's fine. Now the other thing I want to mention is if you're playing this, if your use case is mostly like operations, co-op, that sort of thing, then Adrenaline Rush is fine too. Assuming good situational awareness to not need priority target. My problem is priority target gives you so much more situational awareness besides the awareness you could have already. But I understand everybody's different on that, and some people say, oh, I'm fine. But I would much rather be able to focus my brain and effort on like what I'm doing than what everybody else on the enemy team is doing and constantly searching for their shells. But anyways, so I'd go Adrenaline Rush next. If it's staying on Helena specifically, top grade gunner would be a good choice. Because basically, you know, if something's in your concealment range, you get that boost. So that comes in very handy. Heavy HE and SAP might be a good choice as well for Helena, especially in operations, because you do get that bonus to damage. Now keep in mind that this kind of counteracts your concealment expert because it increases your concealment now to 12, but it synergizes well with top grade gunner because top grade gunner then is active earlier. So you can consider that as well.
I don't like the heavy HE because you have penetration issues with these guns at tier 7, like especially if you get up tiered.
Mm-hmm.
Like
what about
you can't fix it. Like even if you take IFHE, you can't fix it because it's tier 7. You never get to 32.
Well, I want to show you that because Altidore just asked about that. So here's the problem with IFHE, okay? At tier 7, you have a 1/6 penetration from these guns. At tier 8, you have a 1/5 penetration. It's just a magic number Wargaming put into play. So what that means is your pen is 35 millimeter now. When you put IFHE on, it's 31. 1 millimeter too short. The magic number for IFHE is 32 millimeters, Altidore. 32. This is 31. It's not going to help you. So,
IFHE helps you. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like the IFHE helps you penetrate equal and lower tier battleships at the bow, which have 26 millimeter. And it helps you penetrate some of the heavy cruisers that have 27. But considering the tier you are, the matchmaking you get put in, what type of ships you face, that is not enough ships you can penetrate with it to justify the 4 points plus the loss in fire chance.
As Hujam says, it's very good for ranked gameplay. This is true. If you are in a tier locked, now tier locked meaning tier 7 will be the high tier, and you're playing ranked, then you can get away with IFHE. If you're doing operations, you can probably get away with IFHE because most of the time the ships are lower tier unless you get sucked into a tier 9 game and then you face super ships. But you know, those are a couple of niche cases. You're just playing the ship in randoms and you get up tiered to tier 9. IFHE doesn't really help you much at all. So that's the problem with IFHE. Whereas, and as Grunty says, you also lose half your fire chance, which hurts. Whereas if you go for the main battery HE and SAP shell damage, what's nice about this is, assuming you penetrate, you do more damage, okay? So if you're hitting superstructure, you do more time. If you shoot at destroyers, I mean, that 10% helps you kill destroyers and subs that much easier. And Jill, yes, Mogami 155 is where you look for serious usage of IFHE. That is correct. It's really tier 8 and up that you do that. There's a few use cases of IFHE otherwise, like Bayard comes to mind. But most people aren't going to use it.
I kind of like it on tier 6s because the tier 6s, like, when they get updated to tier 7, it's still beneficial. Only if they... like, the pool of ships they can penetrate in the matchmaking range is relatively bigger at tier 6 than it is at tier 7 light cruisers. So every G becomes a bit more valuable. There's still downsides, like it's 4 points, it's half your fire chance, but
so
you will get to penetrate more.
If you have if this is going to be a specific build for like you're going to move this up to the Worcester, you can probably get rid of, well, I mean, you might still want heavy HE, but you could probably get rid of that in favor of Superintendent. if you're going to move it up to the 8, the 9, and the 10. Honestly, like Grunty said, a Wooster might not even want Survivability Expert in favor of the heavy HE. So you just have to decide. You'll have so much time to get there, so, you know, no rush. And then the final point, again, if you're moving this up and you're going to a radar-equipped cruiser, you definitely want Consumable Specialist to be able to use your radar more frequently. Alternatively, there's a Gun Feeder or Grease the Gears that helps. Or there's the poor man's, you know, priority target with incoming fire alert. That would allow you to still take Demo Expert or Consumables Enhancements. But there's, you know, as you can see, there's not a ton of room in the build.
You could do AA if you want to. Has to sacrifice the top grade gunner though, but you could.
Yeah, those are also possibilities. Daniel, hey, welcome on in, everybody. Let me hit the button there and let's finish up your flags. Then we'll get into the game and then we'll talk a little bit about Daniel and everything. So we've got the 2 fire flags to boost up your HE chance. And see, these 2 flags are, you know, they negate the Demo Expert. They make up for it. And then we've got ship speed so that you can move a little bit faster. Fine. You said that this is a newer account. You're trying to obviously conserve flags and stuff. So that's fair. All right, let's get into this. Daniel, thank you so much for the raid, my friend. I hope you're doing well. As usual, there's a commercial break that's about to start, and I can't turn it off because it's just perfect timing as always. In honor of the raid, we're going to go ahead and yeet out a code, guys. This is over on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, or Kick, get over to twitch.tv/LordZath. You have to be a follower and active in chat. So click that follow button if you haven't already done so. Following is free on Twitch. And then type something in chat. All right? Hey, Blue Falcon. And there goes the commercial.
I mean, it's okay. It's at the start of the battle. It's probably the best time for the commercial.
Yeah. So in this battle, you are middle tier. You are in a tier 8 game. There's no carriers, and there's 1 sub. Okay, and it's a tier 8 sub.
Ultrador is Ultrador a sub? Can he hear me right now?
Yeah, he's a sub, so he should.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this particular match, your IFHE would help you only against the 4 battleships. It had 0 effect against any of the cruisers.
Mm-hmm.
The Kansas even has some 38mm plating, right? So it wouldn't even do too much there unless you specifically aim for the bow.
Mm-hmm. Ghazi, thank you for the follow. Welcome on in. And Axtime, Thelm, thank you very much for your comment there. I'm glad that I was able to help you with Rune Hipper and Blue Her. A lot of people have been asking about if it's worth to go for that ship or not. All right, so it looks like you're going into a kite away position already. Hey, Cobra, how are you?
There's only one destroyer, and the destroyer is not going to be on this side, but the submarine is.
All right, Barry, sounds good. Thanks for hopping over on the YouTube or on Twitter then, or on Twitch. I can't English right now.
Rather little risk of you getting spotted.
True. And because the sub is over here, the enemy sub will most likely be over here too.
Yeah.
Okay. Armac, I don't think... Axem, I don't remember if Axem was the secondary rune. I don't think he was.
No,
I don't like this turn back. Yeah, I don't like this turn back in now. Like, you making that change opens you up to shots from any battleship right there that's transiting. The only thing you've got going for you is that the Kansas is taking a slow ship, and yeah, you should have shot that right away.
I'm really curious though what triggered that change in mind to turn around, like, because at this moment nothing was spotted, like.
Yeah, it looks kind of like you're not sure where to go. The island here, if you go in front of the island, this severely restricts your maneuverability.
Yeah,
use the OP
destroyer is in the B cap, so you might get spotted here in front of the island with no place to move. This is dangerous.
Yes. Hey, NBA. Your call in chat was to support A, so you want to deal with that. Okay, but you were... I think you're better suited to support A over here than where you're going. Where you're going makes me think you're trying to support C cap up here.
Yeah, you're
I
in no
hate subs too
position to
high.
actually support A from here because
That's what I mean, right?
this.
And you got a smoke ship going into the B cap. And Barry, thank you very much. I'm not looking forward to flying
the
down to
Mercury
Arizona
is at
again.
C, so that's a jump, probably.
Yeah, that's
Or is
the only
smoke
option.
Moving? Oh, it could be the Uganda if the smoke is moving. I don't see it.
Uganda was last seen down at A, and your shots are way too low. Yeah, that's right, Joe. That's right. He could have also been getting wrecked when he got stuck on that island there. You thought the north one was A cap in the moment? No. No, that's C cap. But still, I mean, just because the team says focus on C doesn't mean that you should abandon your side completely. You're far better suited playing your side and kiting away because, I mean, we've been through so many games where people say, oh, go focus on this cap, and like either nobody listens or everybody shows up there and hides and you lose that cap anyway. So you're far better suited staying on the cap that you're assigned to and chilling. No one likes Arizona. I don't mind Arizona. I wouldn't mind living there at some point. Cobra, my dad's in Arizona. I have to go and help him out again. He's getting surgery on Thursday. I was talking about at the start of my stream, but ay.
Also rattlesnakes. There's lots of rattlesnakes in Arizona.
Yeah, it's desert climate, so I mean...
You probably want to use that hydro here. Like, I don't know if you realize that this is the Pan-Asian cruiser in the B camp. They have deep water torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
And you were spotted for a long time moving this direction. That there could be torpedoes coming
There he is.
your way.
Yeah, no worries, Cobra. A lot of back and forth this week. He basically went from having surgery Monday to having surgery Thursday to I don't know if we're doing it Monday or not to we're doing it Thursday for sure. So it's not a lot of fun, and the result of that
How
is
it a citadel?
is
The
you
aim looked
prods
so high.
whatever. So it ultimately came down to having to book flights, cancel, book again, cancel, and then book again. So it's a mess, both in flight cost and in wasted time on my part, basically.
You could. Maybe.
Now, I don't know, Altador, why you're running away here, because there's... I mean, if you're afraid of the torpedoes, you've got hydro. So, as long as you're not, like, sitting broadside, it's not a big deal. Yeah, you kept him broadside, but you didn't finish him. So, to me, it just feels kind of bad, because it's like you could have easily gotten the kill on him. But you ran away from somebody who couldn't see you, essentially.
Like, I was even thinking about charging him. But that Monarch gave me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, I wouldn't charge him with the Monarch back there. But I'm with you,
the idea
like...
was to, you know...
Just stay there. You're more scared of the Monarch than the Torps. Well, right, but see, and that's where the propulsion module comes into play, because as soon as you get the kill, you just W out of there.
But the
And you
Monarch
screwed up
didn't
the
even
maneuver?
see you. Like, you were basically concealed by the smoke from the jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't even get spotted when you shot it, because the smoke... Oh my god, what are you doing? Are you sacrificing your Nuremberg?
Yes, sacrificial Nuremberg.
Torpedoes, direct front.
I mean, you guys are up by 4 ships right now, so you can afford it. Scope in. There you go. I would have been scoped in earlier on that, because... Why let the Nuremberg get the kill? Nice job. I'll hold, you punch. Yoink. Jeez. So your team won the C cap. That's all fine and dandy. But they've lost the A cap. Yeah, and there's no need to move, I agree.
Just get this cap now.
If you move, you risk getting yourself spotted by a ship that's over here, and then getting yourself shot at by maybe the Kansas. If the Monarch wasn't moving this way, the Monarch could be a problem, but he's not, so there you go.
Our team
I mean, the
taking
Monarch is
lead.
coming out at a decent angle towards the key.
No, that's the key's problem,
He has-
isn't it?
No, I just mean the Monarch has bigger things to think about than you right now.
Okay, well, you got the cap. Now the question is, do you go to the A cap, or do you help your team dispatch one of the two remaining battleships, either the Kansas or the Monarch? You're so far up on points and ships, you can afford to do the riskiest of plays, and if you die, who cares? I would probably help kill the Monarch first. Kansas is alone, but Kansas also gets to play with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his teammates. Whereas the Monarch is only really dealing with the key. So I kind of feel like his presence will be more benefited with the Monarch.
You're wasting a lot of time here by not going full speed the whole time, by the way. Like, if your goal is to get shots on the Monarch, you should have sped up, like, a minute ago.
Yeah. Well, you know, to me that says uncertainty, right? When you're moving a little bit slower like this, that's kind of like, I don't know, do I want to do this or not, you know? And this again is where priority target comes in handy, right? I just shot. Okay, does this number light up to 2 or 3? If it lights up to 2 or 3, ah, crap, I can't sit here, right? But because you don't have that, you don't know. You don't know if the Bayern at A has a lucky shot on you right now, and you're not even looking at it. So that's why I like priority target. Now, IFHE on the Monarch. A Monarch has 32mm armor all around, doesn't it?
It would help, yes. Why are we going backwards? You're gonna lose your shots here in a second.
Trying to hide behind the island. He's trying to peek around.
But why? Like, the Monarch isn't even looking at you. Like, there's no need to be behind the island.
Mm-hmm.
Again, priority
right.
target helps there.
Right. Pack NW Gaming. Ah, I get a Pacific Northwest. Got it. All right. Congratulations on your code.
I mean, you actually don't even need priority target here. You just have to look what his weird turret is doing.
Yeah. Why aren't you shooting? Okay. A little bit of hesitation there.
Our victory
Oh,
is
look, the
in
Kansas
sight.
died.
Shocking.
Shocking. See, it feels like you were turning when you didn't need to turn, and you slowed down when you didn't need to slow down. Now, for those of you guys that came in on Daniel Rusev's raid, you can kind of get an idea of what I do here, which is replay analysis. We're giving feedback to a player, in this case, Altador, and the whole goal is to just help players improve. It might be the individual player, or maybe you're watching and say, "Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think of it that way." You know, we don't, we don't poke fun of players that screw up or anything like that, unless we know them well enough to joke around. But otherwise, the whole goal here is growth. The whole goal is to help people understand this game, enjoy it more, etc., etc.
It's good to know that you actually went dark after shooting briefly being spotted. That means
don't
the
know-
submarine is nowhere close, or at least not at the surface. You might
Now
just
he
pop
is.
the hydro anyway, because the game is gonna be over soon,
Yeah.
and that's the submarine spotting you now for sure. So yeah, I drop.
And that's not a bad point, Jolt, either, is when you're in open water, having that speed up really helps. All right, so you got your hydro going. That's all right, because yeah, as Grunty mentions, it'll be up for pretty much the majority of the rest of the game. Sub went down again and back up. Here's torpedoes, and there's where he is. Okay. Just gave away his position.
Torpedoes, direct front.
I'd be DCPing first and worrying about ASW later. But okay, if you want to take 2 torpedoes, that's your choice.
Problem solved, sir.
You're so close to him, stay zoomed out and just shoot. It's a bad habit for me too. There you go.
Awaiting instructions.
Now your hydro will keep him detected as long as you're within 2 kilometers. It doesn't matter how deep he goes. As you can see, he is now stuck here. Which is good. You might also want to put your plane up so that you know what's going on with the Bayern on the other side of the island here.
That's a good call. Like, if you want to chase a submarine to have it in a hydro range, you need to know that you don't come out in front of the Bayern.
Right,
knowing
exactly.
Where it is very important. It might
Well,
also
now
just shoot down this plane, though, from the Bayern, so...
Yeah, and your hydro detects the Bayern. The Bayern's actually not coming your way, so that's really good for you.
Is your sub killing it with these torps?
Yes. Yep.
Oh my god.
I love anti-sub warfare as a sub. It is if you get really good with pinging and stuff like that and using the homing torps, it's ridiculous.
I found it always so tough. Like, this is my perception issue, but pinging underwater and judging the distance underwater is so weird.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I miss my pings underwater all the time when I'm trying to ping another sub.
It's taken me a long time to get good at it. But I've gotten a lot better. And, you know, the main thing is using when to use your submarine surveillance consumable if you have it, and how to use that in conjunction with your teammates and stuff like that. And the whole idea is you wait for your teammate's ASW to hit him. And obviously, you know, he's probably DCPing after that. Get him on a ping, fire off your torpedoes, and just wave. Even after your sub surveillance is done, the torps still follow. But anyway, I digress. So not a bad game for you, right? You still did 74,000 damage and change. You still got a base cap, a kill, some good citadels. You know, this is a game you should feel pretty happy about. And look, you came in first place. Amazing.
A bit risky at the start. You didn't get punished for it. And I think
yes.
And the champion could have died a bit cleaner if you.
Yep. So you did end up getting the kill on him. You got some good hits on the Monarch. You got him burning a bit, so that's nice. You did some damage on the Elba, and same thing with the sub. And the Bayern, you shot down his poor scout plane. That's about it. Yeah, I mean, not much to give you feedback here in terms of the gameplay other than, you know, you set yourself up to get wrecked on several occasions. Let me put the replay render up here. We'll try to highlight that in a couple of spots. Now, usually, all right, Thudswit, thanks for stopping by. Usually, as you guys are working through on a flank, you want to stay on that flank. And you can see Altador gets into a position here where I was expecting you to continue to Foxtrot 1, essentially, with your guns over the shoulder looking to the south at A. That's a really nice kiting away position that allows you just to farm whatever comes through the channel. And the nice thing about it is that the stuff that's behind, right? So the stuff that's on like the 6-7 line, it's really hard for them to get a shot on you because they have to fire in between islands and that sort of thing. So it's a really strong position, but you actually abandon that position and you turn back in. So first of all, you turn back in. If I'm going to switch to C-cap, I'm not going to turn back in to make that change. I'm going to continue turning out to make that change. So you see where that New Mexico is? I would be heading that way, right? I would keep my right turn, end up around where the New Mexico is, because now you're behind the island at Echo 3. You ended up in front of the island, broadside to everything.
You never want to cross in front of that island. Same thing for if in the mirror position, the one in H6, you also never want to cross in front of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other reason is like you said you want the team called C and like you wanted to support, but like you can't even do this in Light Cruiser. Do you see all the 4 little islands that are blocking the C cap from this thing? Like you can't even get in a position to support it because your only position to support it would be in the middle in the open water in like D5, D6, where you
Right.
just get absolutely annihilated. So
Right.
you would have to go all around to support this cap from something like B6, or you go even further around like B8. And that takes a long time to get there. By this time, this cap is either won or lost already.
Now, I want to highlight too, your Kansas, the enemy Kansas was detected shooting at somebody else at some point. When I see the Kansas, all right, I'm thinking that's probably the biggest threat to me if I'm broadside at long range. And yet you continue sailing broadside to it. And you're very fortunate the Kansas didn't seem to care you existed. Now you get detected here, turning in, right? And then you turn back out again. I mean, it's a perfect shot for this Kansas player. But the Kansas is looking at C as well. So he wasted an opportunity.
It's not just the Kansas too. Like, this is like torpedo soup alley too. Like,
yep.
There could have very well be blind torpedoes from the Aoba or the jumping out in that direction, right?
Yep. All right, chat. So what are we going to call this replay should it make it to YouTube as we continue the render? E4 is a favorite spot. Yeah, for torps. Yep, absolutely. I don't know what a fun title would be for this. I mean, it's a good replay. It's a good learning opportunity. Never punished, want to learn.
Never punished is probably not bad.
Yeah. Hey, Cthulhu. E4, it's a hit. Or are you playing Battleship? Looks like you got another commercial going. There we go. There's a shout out for Cthulhu. Ah, no worries. All right. Well, Ultidor, I want to say thank you for sending the replay, and of course, thank you for supporting me by subbing, all that good stuff. And I hope the replay helped. A lot of good stuff in there. So, good times.